Hello, hello, hello. Happy Friday. It is January 13th. It is Friday the 13th. I think that's an exciting day. We don't need to go hide away. We can embrace the day and all that it brings. My name is Joanne. I am the director of marketing here with Legendary Marketer, and I am so excited to be here and to bring you a very special guest. Our guest today did not go through Legendary when she started her business, but we always like to bring on guests that have built a business online so that you can see all that's possible, their journey to building a successful, booming business online, and just give you more insight of what this looks like, what is possible in a variety of different niches. So, without further ado, let me bring on Crystal, who is a parenting coach. Welcome to the show,
Hi.
Crystal.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. I know I found your Instagram and I was like, "Ooh, we need to get this girl on." I know our members, our community would love to just learn more about how you're marketing your business and the tips that have helped you grow, but also just how, your story, how you found this, how you came into this and all of that. So let's go back in time a little bit
Yeah.
and dive into how you became the parenting coach.
Yeah, I that story is awesome just because I think that I used to think people that were like really good at what they do and like leaders in their field were ones that were just like naturally good at that thing. But the
Mhm.
more that I get to know mentors and leaders and coaches, I realize that it's usually because they were like the least good at that thing. So that's my parenting journey.
Okay.
It was like the most difficult thing in my life for sure. I felt like as soon as I had kids, it was supposed to just be like easy and natural, and it was not. I had pretty high standards because, like, at a young age, when my kids were at a young age, my parents had kind of been like, we don't love the way that we parented or our generation is parenting. This is kind of a new way of parenting, and had given me some parenting books and actually taken me to courses and stuff. This is when my kids were toddlers. They're now like teenagers and tweens.
Mhm.
And anyway, so during that time, I had like a pretty high standard of like what I expected from myself. I wanted to parent with connection and consciousness and attachment, which is kind of like a new way of parenting coming in that's gaining a little bit more popularity now, but it's still not like the norm. And I loved it right from the get-go. But no matter how many books I read, I felt like I was just like failing more and more and more and more. And I had kids that were pretty tricky. I have kids with some diagnoses that make it pretty difficult to manage. And so combination of all of that and not really feeling like I had any tools to do that with, I felt like we kind of got to a point where we hit rock bottom. We had moved across the country. I live in Canada right now. We were living on the other side of the country, away from all our friends and family, and things were really tough. And it was at that point that I kind of hit rock bottom and was like, okay, something within this dynamic needs to shift, and I don't know what. And I started doing kind of just small and simple changes. Most of it was me. I thought it was like, my kids that needed to change because we usually do. Um, and it took a long time because at that time I didn't really know a lot about mental and emotional health and tools and all of that. So I was just like gradually, slowly turning inwards and noticing my reactions and responses. And then if I reacted poorly, that their reactions would be even worse, and like starting to kind of build that relationship again. And, anyways, it was a long, slow process. But when I started to really intentionally work on it, and by it, I mean mostly me, over
Right.
the course of a year or so, I noticed that my son that I was really struggling with, that his meltdowns decreased by like so much, like 80 to 90% in intensity and frequency, which
Mhm.
was surprising because of his diagnosis. It's kind of like common that he's like fairly dysregulated. So it was interesting to me that as I wasn't focusing so much on him and his behaviors and trying to get him to like stop melting down, but I
Mhm.
was focusing instead on me, that was just happening, which really is what attachment-based parenting is about, is like our connection and our relationship. And as we work and focus on that they feel more safe and secure and less alarmed. And anyways, It's a
Right.
whole thing. It's awesome. Learn more about connection-based parenting. But anyways, so fast forward, things are going really well with me, with him, with my life. I had
Mhm.
done a degree in psychology and I'd always wanted to go back into my master's and become a therapist. That was kind of always my goal. I
Uh-huh.
homeschool my 4 kids. I did not mention that, but I have 4 kids and I homeschool them all. So I was like, you know
Bless
what?
you. I have 3 kids, but I could never homeschool.
It is a big part of our life. My oldest is 16 right now, so we have been doing it. He did public school kindergarten. I've been doing it with him since grade 1. So it has been a long time. So that was a big part of my life too. So I was like, you know what? I'll just go back and go to school and just do like a little bit here and there, thinking I was just going to do the traditional business thing, like not even my own. Like my husband wanted to be an entrepreneur a long time ago and I like shut him down. I was like, "Oh no.
Oh.
Entrepreneurs do not make money. We need like a steady income. Like you're not doing this." And I made him get like quote unquote a real job. Anyways, he's always had an entrepreneur spirit and I've always like squashed it.
So you were that
Until now.
spouse.
I was that spouse. I was like, no, what? No, we need benefits and we need to know how much money we're making every month. Anyways, fast forward, I'm looking for a master's program. Somebody invites me to this evening. Well, I'm literally like, I had some money kind of tucked away from my husband had just finished his master's. And anyway, so I'm like, I'll just do like a course at a time. I'm looking I wanted to do something online so I could still homeschool.
Yeah.
And someone invited me to an evening that a life coach was putting on. I actually thought up until this point that life coaches just helped you like figure out life. Like, I don't know, schedule, or like you could call them if you didn't know like what to do in like your job or something. I don't even know. I don't know what thought life coaches were.
Right.
But in this evening totally transformed my concept of what that was. And I was like, oh, wait, like this is actually a lot more like therapy and counseling. You're using a lot of the same tools. We're just working with a different population. We're just working with people that are already like feeling like they're doing okay and not necessarily struggling to function, but not necessarily feeling like they're having super success in relationships, business, wealth, that kind of a thing.
Mhm.
So in like 1 hour, basically, my mind was like, wait a second, I didn't know what a life coach was. Now I do. And I think that's the thing. And so I signed up right away for a program called the Life Coach School with Brooke Castillo.
Mhm.
And it's a great program.
So it's all online, right?
It was all online and she already had done it online. Like she was already set up to do it online and they helped you get set up online to run your online business. Even the whole time I was in certification, I'm like, no, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go like find a like brick and mortar. I'm going to like get a job. I'm going to like go there every day. Anyways, while I'm going to school and practicing on clients
Uh-huh.
and meeting them on Zoom, I'm like, oh, this actually works just as well. Like it's so good. And it's better for me because of like our lifestyle and my kids being at home and whatever. And so I actually certified in March of 2020.
Okay.
So I finished my program right
Oh.
when COVID hit. So
Mhm.
at that time, I still was planning on finding like a brick and mortar, like I go to work and work a few hours a week kind of a thing. At least that was in the back of my mind. And that obviously was not an option in March of 2020. So I was
Right.
like, well, I guess I'll start this whole online business thing. And I had zero idea what I was doing. Like I said, I was kind of anti-entrepreneur for my life. Um, didn't have any friends that were entrepreneurs, didn't have any family. So I was like Googling things like how to share a story on Instagram, how to
Mhm.
create like a video, or like how do you start an email list? How do you build a business online? Like the most basic. People are always like, I don't know what to do in business. And I'm like, had zero idea
Right.
what to
And
do. But
you were kind of against it to
I
begin
was kind
with.
of against it.
You
But I
were
was like,
you were in
if
the
I was,
mindset, yeah,
yeah,
of I am a traditional, like, we're gonna go to college, we're gonna get
yes.
our masters, I'm gonna get the 9 to 5, and then you found a program you loved that
Yeah.
you and
I
even
loved
though
it
it was
so much.
online and you were still I'm gonna try and make this fit in my way of thinking, and
And
I
it worked
love
so
this journey
well.
that you went through to transform.
It's interesting because it's like a mindset course, like it's all based around
Uh-huh.
mindset, so you can take that and use it in any area that you want of coaching, but I, like, loved it, but you have to work on your mindset, obviously, right? If you're, like, helping other people.
Right.
So, I'm, like, working on it and working through it and coaching each other and, like, working, with my cohort and stuff, and so many things changed. It was a crazy, amazing experience, but
Mhm.
um, I kind of just thought like, okay, well, if I didn't know how to start a business, how would I figure it out? And I was like, well, I guess I would start listening to like people that know. So as soon as you start deciding that, like your phone hears you and then ads start coming up specific to building online businesses. So I was like, I'll just sign up for all these like free master classes and free workshops, and I'll
Mhm.
like go get these entrepreneur books. So I'm like, reading and bringing in everything. So I read like Russell Brunson and Amy Porterfield and Grant Cardone, Sell or Be Sold. Like I just kind of was like, I'll just consume all the stuff that like
So let
entrepreneurs.
me ask you, because you shared earlier, you were the questioning spouse.
Yeah.
Your husband was like, I want to be an entrepreneur.
And I
I
squashed
want
his
to do
dream.
something online. And you were like, no, get your ass to work,
Yeah.
9 to 5. And now
Mhm.
you're starting to research and going, I want to be an entrepreneur. How did that go with your husband? Did he go like, are you okay? Did he question you? Was he excited? How did that go in this journey with him?
So by then he'd done his MBA and he'd had kind of more of like a 9 to 5 job.
Uh-huh.
And so he was like, okay, if you're going to do this business thing, you need to have a plan. So he made me give him like a PowerPoint presentation with like a 5-year business vision and like what my content pillars were and like I don't know, all these things that I didn't know anything about. And that plan has kind of gone sideways and changed a million times,
Absolutely. Yeah.
but just the fact that we did that, like my coaching friends were like, "What? You came up with a business plan?" Like most of them were like didn't know what they were doing yet, and I was like, "Oh, my husband made me like do this thing," and I had to actually like tell him how I was planning on making money and what it was going to look like. And
Well, when
anyway,
you have
so
a plan, you tend to follow through more. You know where at least a direction. The plan can change. And
yeah,
that's why in our challenge on day 5, we have everybody write up a business plan too. Yeah.
yeah. So he made me do that because he had literally just finished his MBA. So I'm like, okay. So he definitely helped too. And I think at that time he was just like, yeah, go for it. Like he's always been really supportive of it. As soon as he found out what life coaching was too, he was
Mhm.
like, what? You can get paid for doing what you're already so like naturally good at.
Oh, I
He's like,
love
you're gonna be so good at this. Cause I feel like when you hear about life coaching and you're like deep down already a life coach, you're like, oh, like yes, this is like it was just so aligned. So he was actually more supportive than I was of myself. I was nervous about taking the program. It's a pretty expensive program. I'm Canadian, so it's even more expensive. And I
right.
was just like, I don't know about this. And he was like, he texted me from work and was like, you're going to be so good at this. Like, you should do it. And I think if he had said, I don't know, it's a lot of money. I don't think you should do it. Like, obviously, he has an entrepreneur spirit, so he's more risk taking. I'm not. I
Right.
probably wouldn't have done it. So,
Mhm.
yeah. So it was him.
Wow. I
Yeah.
love this. So also share with I know he got the MBA, he was doing a
Yeah.
9 to 5, but share with our
Yeah.
audience what he's doing now, 'cause he's not in a
So
9 to
plot
5.
twist, plot twist. So I started doing my business. It was working really well. I loved it. He's really like a do-it-yourselfer with everything. Like we went to go build a house. He's like, no, it's fine. I can do that. Like, let me figure this out. I know a lot of construction stuff. So we designed and built our own house. So, anyways, we've always been like, okay, let's figure this out. So we go to do this business thing. Of course, I want to hire somebody to do my website or to help me do a landing page or all of those things that you need to like get
Right,
your name out there, right?
right.
And he was like, "No, it's cool. I can do this." I'm like, "You've never built a website. What do you mean?" But he's always been really techie, and he's like, "I
Mhm,
love doing stuff like this. I'm sure I can figure it out." So
mhm.
just like he built our house from watching YouTube videos, I'm sure it was more than that. He did have some construction experience. I should say that too.
Okay, okay.
But he wasn't just like
Please
random,
don't
but
go build a house off of YouTube, guys.
yes, don't just build it off YouTube. He'd done concrete, he'd worked for other home building companies, so he was like he knew what he was doing, but there was a
Right,
lot of YouTube
right,
involved in our house
right.
building. Anyway, so we go to our website and he's like, "It's fine, I'll just watch YouTube, blah blah blah." So he figures it out. We always make a goal for ourselves at the beginning of the year. Well, we have in the past been like, "What should we do this year?" And so he had just made a goal that year to learn website design. This is before I'd even talked to him about that. He's like, I think it'd be fun to learn how to build websites. I don't know. That does not sound fun to me, but he's
Okay.
like, I just think that'd be a cool skill. So he's like, I'll practice on yours and whatever. So he like builds my first website. It was on a platform called Wix and it went pretty well. It looked good. A lot of my friends were like, wow, you already got your website up? That's awesome. And I was like, yeah, my husband's doing it. Fast forward, I'm kind of like an ideator. I have lots of ideas. Like pretty much every night I'm falling asleep. I'm like,
Okay.
here's another idea. My problem is like not having so many ideas and just going with one and following through.
Following
So
through. Yeah.
as I'm having all these ideas in my first year of business and not knowing a ton about business, I kind of just tried to follow through with all of them.
Mhm.
So we started creating courses. So because mindset has to do with every area. At this time, I was coaching on everything. So I was coaching some people on their marriage. I was coaching. I was doing business
Wow.
coaching. I was coaching like a chiropractor. I was coaching some other coaches. I was coaching just a variety of things, helping people with their mindset,
Mhm.
and it was successful and it was working well. And so I decided to start a course. So I'm like, I'll just put on a digital course. So I did like a business course, and then I did a parenting course, and then I did like a health course, and then I did another business course. So in my first year, I did 6 unique courses and then redid 2 of them. So total, I did 8 and a membership and
Wow.
a monthly membership.
Wow.
This is in like 12 months.
Wow. And you were homeschooling.
And I'm homeschooling, yeah. So it's a little bit crazy, but I'm like, "Oh, this sounds fun. Let's do this."
Mhm.
So I have a big network of coaching friends now. And so my everyone's looking at me like, what is going on? How are you getting all of this done? We're still stuck on the square one of like, how do I build a website or like, how do I whatever? And I'm
Mhm.
like, guys, it's so easy. What do you mean? Like, I built my opt-in in like, an hour. And they're like, how did you build a landing page like that? I'm like, oh, well, I just recorded a video and then I just gave everything to my husband. They're like, "Oh, okay, that's fine." Anyway, so people started hiring him to do things. They were like, "Do you think he'd do this for me?" And it kind of took a little bit of like leg pulling for him to be like, I guess I'll do it for this one person." And then he did it for another person, then for another person.
Right.
Fast forward, he's doing it for a lot of people. He finds a platform that he loves, and it's called Kajabi. You probably say Kajabi or something in the
Yep.
US, but
Yep.
um, so he's using this platform. That's what we had converted everything to. We're loving it. We become affiliates for them because he likes it so much.
Mhm.
And he was at an internship, and he was supposed to be training to be a town manager. So it's like a administrative kind of government thing.
Mhm.
So he's doing that. He finishes it. They're asking him to kind of stay on now that his internship's done. He's applying for other positions, and he was like, I think I could do this full time. Like by then he was kind of not full, but he had a lot of work that he was doing. So at that point, I was still not super supportive because I was like, wait, I'm doing this entrepreneur thing. You still have the steady thing so that we can like know everything's okay. But I also have always had this dream in the back of my mind since my babies were little babies to homeschool and travel and just like
Right.
be so free.
Right.
And he was like, this is literally the only way that this is going to work. And
Mhm.
he's like, you guys can't just go travel without me. I was like, it's fine.
Right.
We'll renovate a bus and we'll just come visit you on the weekends. Anyway,
Bye,
so
we're
he's like,
leaving. Have
yeah,
fun at the
see you
9 to
later.
5 you don't like.
So he was like, let's try it. So I'm like, okay, cool. So we
Yeah.
decided to like go all in. We did like a Facebook Live with all our friends, and we're like, just so you know, this is what we're doing. And so
Wow.
we moved in with my parents for a little while because we had not seen them pretty much at all during COVID. And
Uh-huh.
then we just have kind of been moving around like, and not very intentionally. People will literally just call us and be like, hey, I hear you guys like move all over. I need somebody to come like live here in this Airbnb for the winter. Or anyway, so we've just been a little bit transient, kind of just moving wherever the wind blows while we're building our online businesses. And he's built his 100% like referral base just through word of mouth,
Mhm.
and successful, going great. He works almost full-time hours. He works about 30 hours a week.
Wow.
Um, and it's going great. He has some
Awesome.
assistants working with him. And so now we're both entrepreneurs, and our kids now all want to be entrepreneurs. And I'm like, no, 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 go to school.
That's
Anyways,
so
I'm
funny.
making them
I
go to
love it.
school, and I told them that they can still be an entrepreneur if they want, but they
Yeah.
have to go to school also.
So
So,
let me
yeah,
address one of the comments in the
yeah,
comment. So
yeah. Sorry, do
somebody
it. I
that's
didn't see
new
them.
to our community asked, how does this relate to legendary? Did they join?
Mm,
Did they do it yourself? So let me explain that a little bit, just for those that are coming in late. We like to bring in expert guests, so to speak, that started a business online. They didn't necessarily go through the legendary education, but they're using what we teach here. So we promote to teach skills to grow and build a business online using one of the core four, we call it, whether it's affiliate marketing, digital products, coaching courses, or live events.
I'm doing all of those.
Crystal does all four.
I
She
do.
has all 4 at this point. So she started with one, she added another, then she added another, she added another. So she's doing all of it, which is we want you, all of our audience, to see what this looks like 2 years down the line, 3 years down the line, as you're growing, building, and expanding. She started with different courses and different niches. They were all mindset, but it was a different avatar. And now you've dialed
I'm much more
in.
narrowed down. I have to say, my first year was
Crazy. And now you've
all over.
dialed into the avatar that you enjoy the most.
Mhm.
I'm assuming. How did you end up deciding who your ideal client was going to be?
Okay, that's a really good question. I also have to say my number 4, my live events, I just started. I just added that in
I
November.
love it. I love it.
And it's the best, PS.
Uh-huh.
So if anybody tells you retreats don't make money and they're hard to sell, which is what everybody told me, it's so not true. They
Yeah.
are super easy to sell. People love them and they're awesome. Okay. So this whole time in the back of my mind was like, "Ooh, parenting's kind of the thing." But it also was something I was still working through. So as I'm going through certification, I'm using the tools and I would specifically be being coached on parenting. And I still felt like I was in the middle of my journey. I had come a long ways on my own, but there's a lot more you can go once you have the tools.
Right.
So I was learning so much. So I think a lot of it was like that back of my mind, like, how am I supposed to be helping people when I don't totally have this figured out?
Mhm.
Um, but I just kept coming back to it and coming back to it. So I don't remember if it was the end of 2020 or in 2021, I was being coached by my mentor. So at that time I was, I think it was Brooke Castillo who was coaching me on a coaching
Mhm.
call. And she was like, I was all over the place. And she was like, well, just pick one thing or pick 2 things, or like, don't be so indecisive about, trying to
Right.
do a million things.
Right. Right.
So at that time, I was mostly doing parenting and business. I was making more income in business than parenting. And
Okay.
in my brain at that time, I was thinking parenting is just a harder sell. It's so much easier to show people like, do you increase their Instagram followers, or that their hashtags are working, or that they're making more money in their, brick and mortar or whatever. So I
Right.
could use those as testimonials to be like, this is why it's working. And mindset works for everything, you guys, like everything. So
It's just key.
it's just key.
You know,
It will help you in all
it's
areas.
a part of your entrepreneurial journey is to dive into your mindset,
Yeah.
get that lined up. I mean, it
Yeah,
just,
totally.
no matter what it is. Yeah.
I can see the comments now. Sorry, guys. I did not have comments on. So I'm like, comments, what are you talking about?
Oh.
There they are. Hi. Okay. So, anyway, so through this time, I'm like, I really in the back of my mind was like, but that's not my passion. Like, that's not my why. That's not what drives me. That's not what fuels me. And even though I was really good at it, and even though I was enjoying it, and I created some really beautiful courses, thanks to my husband, who now was very proficient,
Right.
I I retired it all. And I was like, no, I'm going all in. So I changed my handle. It used to just be like coaching with Crystal. So I
Mhm.
changed it to the parenting coach. I changed my podcast name to the parenting coach podcast. And I was like, I am only like, this is my focus. So I combined my background knowledge of connection and attachment based parenting. By then, I'd read all the books there was. I'd gone to courses. I'd met some of those like gurus before. So
Mhm.
I had this huge knowledge base already and combined it with the mindset piece, which is what I feel like was missing. I would read those books and be like, yeah, let me do this. But what I teach is called causal coaching. It's think, feel, do. So our thoughts create our feelings and our feelings fuel our actions. And most support focuses on the do. So it's like, do this, do this, do this
Right.
without talking a lot about the think and feel. And I felt like that's what was missing in those books was like, if I was not parented in the way I want to parent, I have a lot of baggage and a lot of subconscious beliefs that I'm carrying with me. And then I'm trying to parent in a totally different way, but my brain is just fighting me the whole time. It just
Right.
doesn't work.
Right.
So that was where my work was. And that's what I kind of decided to join together. And as soon as I did, I was like, this is right. Like, this is the thing. This is the thing for me. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And I've literally never looked back or regretted it at all. So I have changed my business plan way format a
Right.
lot since
Right.
then, but I've never changed who my ideal client was and who I wanted to serve since then. So
Right.
that's been about like a year and a half or so that I've been
Cool. I think
narrowed in.
what's awesome there too, that I really want everyone listening to grab is you weren't married to this is what it's going to be like the day you started. Like you
Mhm.
were open to pivots. You were open to, as you step further in this journey, what other doors opened, and evaluated how you felt about it.
Yeah. And I
And then
think it will
let it
continue to
move,
change too. Like
right?
my last year's journey has been learning how to build my business through intuition. Now that I've built all this like knowledge, it was
Mhm.
like leaning into my own way, my own specific, unique way of doing business. And so I do foresee sometime in the future doing something business related eventually
Right.
again, in a really different way than I was doing it before. But yeah, but I think it is like just always being open to, I don't always know what the step is. And I think I was really married before to the idea of like, I started this membership right off the get-go because
Mhm.
memberships make money and they're the best.
Right.
They're not. Sorry if you have a membership. Yours is probably great. But it was so time consuming. And the more that I read and the more that I studied and the more that I learned, the more I felt like it's a lot of marketing. Like every month you're marketing. You're marketing more than you're coaching. And I do enjoy marketing, but I love coaching. And I have limited time available because I do not want to give up homeschooling. I know I could, but I really don't want to.
Mhm.
And so fast forward last January, I decided my business goal for the year was to work 15 hours a week. At this time, I was probably 25, sometimes
Okay.
up to 30, sometimes down to 20, but like average 25. And
Okay.
it was too much. I felt like I wasn't able to parent in the way that I wanted to, that I wasn't able to show up in my business the way that I wanted to. I needed to have a better balance. And in my mind, I was thinking, how the heck is this going to grow my business? Like, this is totally opposite, but I just knew that that was the right answer for me. So I decided to do that. And I hit that goal in the summer. And then I felt like I could even decrease it even more. And so by the fall, I went to about 10 to 12 hours. So I
Okay.
am currently working 10 to 12 hours a week. This week is launch week. So I've actually worked like 25 this week. But besides launch weeks, 10 to 12 hours a week. And we just did our year end things. And I don't keep track super well of numbers. You might have guessed that by now. My husband does that. Surprise, surprise. So he's like showing me all this, I don't know, stuff online that keeps track of that stuff.
Uh-huh.
And I made almost exactly double last year than I did the year before. With like, instead of focusing on like, I need to make more money and I need to blah, blah, blah,
Mhm.
I focused on what felt like the right thing for me. And, anyways,
Yeah. It
so
just you kind of led your business from a place of what brought you joy
yes.
and
Mhm,
balance, which is also why you
mhm.
switched from business to parenting.
Yeah. And
Even though
close
business
my
was bringing
membership.
in more money at the time, sometimes
Yeah.
more money doesn't mean that it's the right decision long term,
Mhm.
right?
'Cause it
You
has
might
to
have
be
gotten burnt
sustainable
out and
too.
might have already quit if you were
Mm,
like, "I'm gonna go for only money," right? But now you've built
totally.
this beautiful thing and you're killing it, which is
I
awesome.
was, like, so all over the place too, like, I can't be all over the place when I only work that many hours. I have to be specific and I have to be focused, and before I was doing all these things, and I'm sure I could do that, and I'm sure it could be successful, but I also would be working a lot, and I have a lot of friends who run very successful memberships, but they also work a lot.
Yeah.
It's like their full-time thing, and that works really well for them, and so I knew, like, well, I could do this, and put all my kids in school and not be traveling and not have this lifestyle. But there's more that's important than just how much income and how fast I'm making my income. And it's also my lifestyle.
Yeah,
So,
and for little or not so little ones, but yeah,
yes,
that
yes. Hey,
that's
somebody asked, is it
true.
just you and your husband and your business? It is just me and my husband and my business right now. He does like kajabi stuff for other people and then also for me. And we do both have like virtual assistants. So I don't know if those count. I mean,
Yeah,
they do little things that I send them a few hours a week.
right.
But yeah, for now, it's just we're
Yeah,
solopreneurs.
I love it. So let's
Mhm.
talk your Instagram page.
Okay.
You are you're making reels, right?
Yes. Yes.
How, with everything you're doing, we're only working 10 hours a week, we're homeschooling, we're
Mhm.
coaching, we've got tons of different programs and whatnot. How do you work it into your day? How do you come up with the content and plan all
So
that
good.
out? Share that with our audience.
Yeah, so my Instagram journey is awesome. I wish that you guys could scroll back like 3 years and see. what it used to look like. Because I
Evolve,
literally
which is
had to
beautiful.
Google, what is the airplane symbol underneath the square on Instagram, and what am I supposed to do with it? And, like, how do you make a video? And, like, when Reels came out, I was like, "What is a Reels?" I did not have TikTok,
Right.
so I had not, like, seen that stuff before, so I'm like, really, like, I had 0 idea. But again, I went to like, well, I'll just sign up for some free classes or whatever comes up. And so I signed up for like a hashtag class, and I like signed up for an Instagram marketing class. And like, I just started learning more about it and just practicing it and doing it. And some things worked really well and some things didn't.
Mhm.
Um, the thing that works best for me right now is my lovely assistant listens to my podcast episodes and creates beautiful graphics that look much better than if I made them, sends them to me, and then I create my posts from those that I'd
Right.
already done.
Mhm.
So I do a few of those each week, and so that I always have something going out on Instagram, but I used to be posting all the time. I do not post like every day anymore with a
Okay.
static post. I just kind of do a few.
Right.
Because Reels is what's being pushed the most right
Mhm.
now. They're definitely the things that get me the most views.
Yeah.
Um, what I try to do is just have them be really natural. So this week I went and just like recorded just like 30 seconds of my podcast on like a screen recording, and I posted that as a Reels. Um, I've been doing what's called Coach Week this week. I've just made up the name, but it's like literally just free coaching for anybody on anything. I've had almost 40 sessions so far. It's
My
been
God.
crazy. I've
Yeah.
been coaching anyone on anything all week long just for fun. And what I've done is at the end of every day, I'll notice like, okay, these 8 sessions today, we kind of all talked about the same thing. We all have human brains and we all have the same thoughts that come up over and over again.
Mhm.
So at the end of the night, when I was finished my calls, I would just like get on the phone or get on my cell phone, not the phone, get on my cell phone and just kind of share for 60 seconds or 90 seconds something that came up that day. I'd
Mhm.
post it. I'd save it to my device. I'd post it to TikTok and post it to Facebook. I don't even add like hashtags or captions on Facebook or TikTok. I don't even really know much about either of those platforms.
Right.
I've just decided to focus on one. So I
Mhm.
know a lot about Instagram. So I do that on Instagram. So this week it has been more. I have been working a lot more than I usually do for the week. I got my mother-in-law to come and help with my kids for the week.
Right.
And I've been posting a lot more, doing a lot more reels just because I've had a lot more content. But typically it'll just be like an idea that comes like, and the ideas come a lot because I'm a mom with my kids and my kids are still kids and I'm still momming. And so we go to Costco and my daughter has a meltdown because I will not buy her breakfast sausages that she
Right.
wants. And she lays on the floors and screams. And my brain is like freaking out. And I have to move through that whole thing. And then I get home and I'm like, I'm just going to go and talk about this. That was my best reels probably of last year
Mhm.
where people were like, what? Your kids still have meltdowns and you're parenting coach? And I'm like, apparently I still have human children. Weird.
Right.
And
Well,
I'm
and
still having a hard time with it. Yep, I'm still have a human brain. So,
well, and that's what it really is. That's what takes off with
mhm.
social media. Your followers want to see your authentic,
Real. They want it real.
beautiful, real, messy, crazy life. They want to see that with how they can relate to you.
My
You're
messy
not
house
trying to
was
be this
another.
perfect Pinterest,
Yes.
Instagram influencer that you're like, no, this is what happens and this is how we get through it.
I shared my messy house one time and was like, this is what I want my house to look like. And it was like right after I had cleaned it. I was like, this is what it looks like every day homeschooling 4 kids and running a business. And like my kids were all sprawled out and there was stuff everywhere. And people were like, oh, this is so nice to see. And I was like, all I have to do is take a video of my messy house. I can do that every day. That's what people want to see. But I really do think it's whatever's authentic for you. Anytime I've tried to build my business in a way that like you're supposed to do or they tell you to do it and
Mhm.
started not listening to my authentic voice and taking like the fun out of it and made it like soul sucking, surprise, surprise, it didn't work.
Right?
But when I did something like, even if it was against what my mentors had said or what I had read, when I started doing retreats, I had numerous people tell me not to, like verbally say, like, nope, it does not, you don't make money. It's hard. It's blah, blah, blah. And
Mhm.
I just kept feeling like, but I feel like it's the thing. Like, I really want to do it. So, anyways, I think it's balancing like, yes, information and knowledge and learning how to share stories to your Instagram. You do have to figure out some things,
Right.
but not at the expense of like not being authentically you. and building a business that works for you and that you can build it in any way you want.
Yeah. I mean, and that goes back to mindset that you're worthy of showing up as yourself as you're starting this journey.
Yeah. And that's literally my parenting, like everything I've learned and figured out in parenting. Now I'm trying to apply to business because I'm like, it's all the same. Because it is like, it's all about I'm of worth and I can be authentic and I can use my natural and unique talents to parent. I can also do that in business. There's this thing in parenting we called personalization where we make our kids' behavior mean something about us. So our kid has a meltdown in Costco and we're like, it's because I'm a bad mom. It's because I didn't teach them enough. It's because I'm not regulated enough, right? We make it mean all these things. So I help people kind of separate out those two things. Like our kids' behavior does not mean something about us and our worth and what we've done. So obviously our influence, our inner energy influences other people's, but it's not all on us. And now I try to do that with my business. So when I have a launch that does not go well, which I have had several in my mind did not go well, I'm like, that does not mean anything about me and my ability to coach and my ability to do whatever. I can just figure it out. I can just use it as data and bring it in and like learn from it.
And I think that's really important also for everyone that's new, starting a business or just looking into starting. You're going to have roadblocks. You're going to have challenges along the way. And you just have to all right, how do I tackle this today? How do I keep moving through this? Oh, this didn't go as planned. That doesn't mean I'm just going to be like, oh, I'm done. I'm not the parenting coach anymore. Close it up.
It's over. And I really think that's what life is about, is being, and especially being an entrepreneur. I actually told somebody this metaphor the other day. I was like, what if it was like experience points in a video game, and the experience points in a video games that you're trying to like get is actually failure? We think it's like success and money and more clients. But what if it was like experience points are actually failure, and the more failures you can like collect, then that's how you get to the end of your journey.
It really is. I mean, the more experience that gives you experience. The failures are a moment that's giving you an experience that's going to make everything that you've been.
I've had so many failures. I've had like the mean people on Instagram saying that I'm shaming moms when I'm like trying to like do all my best to like not shame moms. That's literally my whole purpose in life. And like people mad at the reels that I've posted, or like had a launch where nothing happened. Like I've had all the same things everybody has, but I think the mindset piece helps me and pick myself back up after being like, this is a problem and I'm going to quit. And I've had all those thoughts too, and just keep moving on.
Doesn't matter what you do online, you're going to deal with a troll.
Well, what's interesting is those are also the most popular. Those are also the ones that bring me the most people, that also speak to my people the most. And that's so uncomfortable to be like, wait a second. Some people are going to be like this and some people are going to be like this. And anyway, social media is its whole own thing. But again, I always follow like what feels good to me. And so last summer I took 6 weeks off Instagram, and I hired a company that comes and checks your followers to see if any of them are ghost followers or bots or whatever. They give them like an AI score and then they delete them for you. So I actually, not only did I take a break, I hired a company to delete a bunch of my followers. And my brain was thinking, again, this is a terrible idea. Like, you're supposed to be increasing, not decreasing. But I was like, I just want people that are here because they're here. They're real people. They want to be here. They want to hear my stuff. And I came back to like 700 more followers, and my engagement was increased. And I was like, it always works out in the end if you're like, what feels like the right thing. I'm not like a huge Instagram superstar influencer or anything, but it's just been like building it little bit by little bit by little bit.
Well, and you don't have to have 1 million followers to have a successful business. You just need a group of really excited people that are excited about you and what you're doing.
Well, and are they converting to clients, right?
Exactly.
Like, you can have 1 million podcast downloads. I have friends that have tens of thousands of podcast downloads on their podcast. I don't. I love my podcast, but I don't. But I get clients regularly from my podcast, and I get clients regularly from my Instagram and from just talking to people in real life. So it doesn't matter how big. You could have like 0 followers. My husband, you should go check out his page. I think he has like, I don't know, 10, maybe he has 50, but he just builds his word of mouth. Like, you can build your business in any way that feels good to you. And it doesn't have to be like one specific way. So
Yeah. I love it. Love it, love it, love it. Well, we'll definitely need to have your husband on. Maybe we'll have both of you on just
Yes.
because that spouse dynamic is such a huge topic that comes up a lot in our community. A lot.
Yeah, and he started his own business when he was a teenager. He started like a lawn care business and it was like successful and he ran it. Like he'd done a few things. So I think he's always had whatever it is inside people that gives them that entrepreneur thing that
Right.
I didn't think I had. I actually did, but in different areas of my life and just kind of I figured out how to do that too. But yeah, but I think I just didn't know a lot about it. It was really unfamiliar to me and so it felt really scary. I was like, no, somebody else gives you your paycheck. It's interesting that I felt like we had less control when somebody else was giving us a paycheck than when I'm giving myself it, when I get to determine what I do and the money that comes in. Like now I feel like it's actually more control. Like people are talking about recessions and like all these things. I'm like, what? There's a recession?
Right?
I don't
Or
know.
like there is? Is there really?
Is there really? I like listened to a podcast about it the other day. I'm like, oh. And I had a friend who'd be like, oh, I don't know if people are signing up for my program right now because of the recession. I'm like, I never choose to believe that that's the reason. Like I'd feel sad and then I wouldn't put myself out there. And like going back to think, feel, do, like even if there actually is a recession, me focusing on the recession is not going to help me find more clients. I could be thinking like, oh, people are going to really need help with their mindset through this. Like this is going to be tough for everyone. Right. So anyways, it's all about your
Focusing on
thoughts.
the opportunity. Because if you focus on the negative, you're going to stop taking action. And then that's only going to hurt your business, hurt your growth, hurt everything. So
Totally. And my launches that went bad were because I decided I wanted some certain number and I didn't feel like I was getting it. And I focused on all the people I wasn't getting. And I was discouraged. And I spent the week like, oh, this isn't working. So
right.
this week, I'll tell you about this launch because I'm like, my program starts not this week, but the week after. So leading up to it, I should be doing like consult calls to tell people about my program and why they should join. But I was like, what do I want to do? That sounds fun. That sounds me. And so I decided to have a few of my clients on my podcast and they shared their stories. It was amazing. My favorite podcast episodes ever. And then I opened up the week to free coaching for everybody, like anybody. I was like, does not matter. You don't have to be a parent. I've coached teens this week. It's like anything. And it's been so fun. And my friend's like, how's that going to connect to your launch? And I'm like, I don't really know, but I'm just going with like what feels like it might be the right thing, what feels like I want to do it from an energy of fun and joy and
Yeah, definitely. And it just doesn't, going back to the number, like the numbers of vanity.
Yeah.
I know we have people go live a lot on TikTok and whatnot. And they're like, I only had 10 people. That's 10 people. What if all 10 of those people you could connect with and they bought from you? And
what if all of those, I think of them as being in my house. So if I only get like 100 story views and I'm like 100 story views, I have like 8,000 followers. How's this happening? But then I'm like, if there was 100 people in my living room listening to what I had to say today about parenting, I would definitely think that's a success. I would be like, wow, I just told 100 people about this and they were listening to me and they got value out of it. So anyways, I'm sorry. We've totally been ignoring the comments. The bot company that I use.
It's good.
The company that I use to check on the bot accounts, I found through Fiverr. And it's a company out of Germany, but just Google it on Fiverr, like finding. Yeah. Anyways, I'm sure we missed your comments.
Awesome. Well, Crystal, we definitely need to have you back. Thank you so much for coming on and just sharing your story and all about your business. Everyone, please go find Crystal on Instagram at the.parenting.coach.
Yes. And if I didn't answer your question, just send me a DM there and I will definitely answer it.
Yeah, definitely. And she has a podcast. It's called The Parenting Coach as well, correct?
The Parenting Coach podcast with Crystal.
Okay, perfect. So you can search her and find her there.
Yeah.
Dive in, grab her content, check out what she's promoting.
I just created a book. It's like a mindset journal. It just went live 2 weeks ago. And it helps with all this mindset stuff. So it is for parents, but all of the tools in there work for anything. So if you're looking for something to help develop your own like daily mindset practice and you want to like wake up in the morning and be like, do this, 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 and this, that is exactly why I created it. So that people would have something to guide them through this work because we need it.
I love it. All right. I will email you after the show and we'll pick a new date for your husband. And you to
Sounds
come on.
good.
All
Sounds
right.
good.
Awesome. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, happy Friday. Dive into the weekend. This was an amazing episode. If you came in late, please go back, start it from the beginning. Even if you saw the whole thing, it is worth a rewatch, hands down. So then go check out Crystal on Instagram, the.parenting.coach. Give her a follow, comment, let her know you saw her on Wake Up Legendary and all that good stuff. Happy Friday. I hope everyone has a fantastic weekend, and we will see you back here on Monday. Peace.